Welcome back. We are now going to work through E360. So you figured out your username and password. You're going to log into E360 where our paramedic and AEMT refresher is going to be housed. This is the screen that will appear if you are using an iPad or any type of tablet. So on the top right, I'm going to click Full to give me the same desktop version of our course in E360. So your home page should look something like this. At the top I have Home, Courses, Communities, Mailbox, ECT. If I click under Courses, which is what you will need to do next, you should see either your AEMT refresher or the paramedic refresher. And you will click on that course. And this is what the home page for our course looks like. On the left-hand side, we have Lessons, which is where all of our online lessons will be. And we have the discussion board, the Dropbox, and tests, which are all the keys that you are going to need in this course. On the main page, you're going to see a picture of me and my information if you need to contact me. So if you click on Profile, you'll see my email and my office phone number. So if you ever need to get a hold of me, go ahead and send me an email. It goes directly to my cell phone, or same with my office number. If I'm teaching or out of the office, you can give me a call and it will go directly to my email. So let's go back. And you can also see the other members in your class as you scroll down. Whether you're in the AEMT or paramedic will make a difference. We'll all be together in the face-to-face, but you can see the other paramedic students in your class. So if you had a question for somebody else, you could send them an email through E360. Just as a warning, it's only going to go to their student email. I had asked for everybody's regular email address that they use every day, because you probably are not going to use your student email very frequently. So if you are using this feature to email somebody, from a different department, they may not receive it if it's going to their student email. Okay, so let's start with the lessons. And if you're in the AEMT course, there's going to be a few lessons that you do not have, such as the cardiology, and the other questions in each lesson that are paramedic style questions have been removed. Otherwise, all of the lessons I kept the same, so that way if you are a paramedic working with an AEMT or vice versa and you're in the same refresher, you can still work on this content together. The content is designed so that way you can work on this on duty as a team. Ideally, that is what we're looking for, is that you can work on this as a crew instead of as an individual. Now, if you're coming in as an individual, certainly, it's designed so you can work on it alone as well, or from home, but you don't have to go through all of this on your own. So the first tab I clicked on was for EMS prep and operations, and as I scroll down, I'll see a couple of assignments that you need to do. First is to write a paper that is based on current trends in EMS. Below there is a link on where you can find some magazines that are approved. Any GEMS, EMS professionals, 911, medical journals, all of those are approved. Once you have written your paper, and as you can see, it should, at the most, this is going to take 2 hours. Likely it's not going to take you that much time. Don't get too focused on the APA style. Really what I'm looking for is just double space, 12-point font. Let me know what you find of interest. And if you click on this open file trends, this is a Word document that you can use as a rubric for how to write this paper. Let me go back to E360. And once you've completed that or completed this portion, you can click the checkbox at the top. That lets you know that you have completed that portion of the assignment. And as I go down, here we're going to have you post your paper to the discussion board. So I can click on the gray box, open up discussion, new trends in EMS. And I'll see that here again I have an opportunity to go through what the expectations are, and then some comments that I had already written and removed as I was training Menominee Fire on how to do this. So here you can type in a new comment such as, "Hello, this is my paper." And then you're going to find the paper on your computer. So under attachments, you're going to choose file. And then you're going to, browse your iPad, which I don't have anything here, browse your iPad, browse your computer, and then once that file is attached, you can hit submit. Once it's submitted, you should see your comment, which here's ours. Hello, this is my paper, and for myself, I'm going to delete this so everyone out there doesn't see all of these comments. And then you'd need to respond to a comment. So 100 words, more than just good job or I agree. Give your opinion, either supporting or challenging the topic and how it would work in your area. So right now I'm under discussion, so I'm going to come back to lessons. I'm going to bring it up to your view. So your view looks something like this. I'll come back to EMS prep and operations. And I can checkbox that I posted my paper, I gave feedback to a classmate, so I've already checked that one. The weapons of mass destruction is required only if your training facility requires it, or workplace facility. So some of you are coming from hospital base, some of you are coming from an ambulance service base. Your department may or may not require weapons of mass destruction. If you do have that requirement, you can follow the link, take you through the Wisconsin train to complete it. When you get the certificate, turn it into your training officer. I do not need it. If you do not have to do weapons of mass destruction, just complete it and continue to move on. So the next one is patient care reports. I'm going to ask you to follow the guide in each step. So you're going to open up this file, which are a few student patient care reports. And you'll see I have 4 here with some room for comments below. And once you've opened them, you can review them and submit your feedback. So here's a rubric to guide you on how to evaluate a patient care report. So at the top it has what patient care report should include, and then just a few more things on documentation that you can use when you're evaluating. These patient care reports are student ride-alongs, interns, whoever's with you, or if you like it as a guide to write your own patient care reports, this is available for you to keep. Once that is completed, you're going to submit this to the Dropbox. So anytime I ask you to complete a Word document and put it in the Dropbox, you will save that as your computer as an attachment. Here I'm going to click Open Dropbox, and it will take me to the Dropbox home. Now here since I clicked on the patient care report one from the lessons, I'm already under patient care report feedback. So I can choose my file, again, browse your computer, open it up. Mine doesn't have anything. Once you have that attached, you can click Submit. Oops, let me go back here. It's giving me invalid because I submitted a blank document. And I have that for a medical scenario, case studies, and a trauma scenario. So let's come back to lessons. Under the rest of the lessons for medical, cardiology, pharmacology, shock, and trauma, after the completion of each one, we ask you to complete an assessment. This is our way to demonstrate that you were competent in this category according to the state of Wisconsin. So if we ever get audited, we can show that you were competent. Each lesson is going to have some videos to watch. And then here's the assessment. So I can go to the test center. You have 3 attempts at each assessment. Let me go to the student view. And as you can see, I already did a few attempts as a student. Once you open up an assessment, you have unlimited time to take this test. And you also can close it and reopen it multiple or unlimited amount of times. This was specifically designed so that way if you're doing this at work and you go out on a call, you don't have to worry about everything being lost. You can answer the questions as you go down, and then at the very bottom, you can save your work, save progress, and let's say something happened, you go out on a call, and you need to come back to it. I can come back to tests, and I can confirm continue test attempt 3. So I'm just continuing right where I left off, and as I'm scrolling down, you see the buttons that I had already chosen on my screen. So as soon as the tones go off, if you're at work or no matter what you're doing, just hit save progress and it will always save where you last left off. Now we do the 3 attempts with at least an 80% or greater, so that way you can re-log in and see where you're at. Now let's go back to tests. because I want to show you what to do when you complete an assessment. Now, I can review my old attempts. So if I click Review Attempt 2, you'll see that each question does not actually tell you the correct answer, but if you read the instructor feedback, you can probably figure out which answer is the correct answer. So this question, for example, which of these medications is often considered initially when managing a patient with an altered mental status? Haldol, bicarb, lorazepam, or naloxone? If I read the feedback, naloxone is used to treat narcotic overdose, a common cause of altered mental status. So that kind of tells me the answer right there. So let's say you took your first assessment, you didn't get an 80%, but if you review your test and look at the feedback, it gives you feedback for each question, which should help guide you in the next attempt, so that way you can get greater than 80%. Certainly, if you're feeling ambitious, you can go for the full 100. All right, so those are the assessments, and then the last thing that we ask for in these modules is in the medical and trauma, we ask you to share some of your experience. So one thing that we're working on at CVTC is to become more global, in that we want to share our education and training with all of the departments and not have these isolated pockets of knowledge. So we ask that you open up the scenario template and write about a call that really stuck in your mind, something that was just odd, it didn't make sense, you learned a lot from it, or you had a significant experience. Just something that was just very odd, really stuck in your mind. So one example, over in Chippewa City recently, they did a cricothyrotomy on a patient who had taken copious amounts of heroin and methamphetamine, I believe, at the same time. And despite using Narcan, despite using succinylcholine, they could not get the jaw to stop clenching, which led them into a cricothyrotomy. So I think that's a really good learning experience that we could share with all of our departments, especially with the heroin epidemic that we're in right now, is that with a lot of meth on board, paralytics don't always work. So if we know the patient already has those medications on board, we can have our equipment out and ready and be prepared if we do need to move on to a cricothyrotomy. So that's just one example. As you work through this template, fill in the information that you can recall. If there's facts that you cannot recall, you can either leave that category blank, or you can make it up to your best knowledge. That these are experiences that we want to use to learn from each other. So if you know the blood pressure was low, but you can't exactly remember how low, you could say it was 70/40, something that would actually fit in the scenario. So once you wrote out your scenario, you can save it to your computer, go to Open Dropbox, and here I'm already in the medical scenario. I can choose my file and then click Submit. Okay, I'll come back to the course home. So that takes us through the lessons for the course, the discussion board, the Dropbox, and the test, which is everything that will build into this online portion. So that actually completes our video. If you have any questions or concerns, certainly feel free to contact me and we can walk through it, or we can have a phone conversation to walk through it. Otherwise, I will see you in March. The online piece is not due until April, so we will have an opportunity to talk about the online piece when I see you face-to-face in March. Otherwise, you know how to get a hold of me. Otherwise, you know how to get a hold of me now. Like I said, don't hesitate to contact me, and I will see you in March. Thank you.